This conference will now be recorded.
So welcome once again to our seminar tonight on cancer. We have a wonderful guest with us today, Marlene. She's going to share her story in just a minute of her incredible battle with cancer that is one of the deadliest forms of cancer. So she has learned and how she's been cancer-free for the last 10 years. And I'm sure some of you guys who have joined us tonight also have your own story. Some may or may not with cancer, but I'll tell you that Marlene is a very dear, close friend of mine, practically a sister. And, she's sharing her story tonight. But I have met many women and men that also have an incredible story. So I just want you to know and be sure that the fight against cancer is a real battle. It can be won. But let me just go through first just a couple things that I want you to understand about cancer. So very simplified understanding that, first of all, we all have cancer in our bodies. The question is, and you'll understand what I mean by that in just a moment, but the question is whether our lifestyle feeds it or starves it. That's the reality with cancer. So for sure, genetically speaking, some people, due to genetics, may have more cancer cells than others. So some people easier to get cancer than others. For some people, genetically speaking, those cancer cells would be in lymph nodes near the breast, in the pancreas, in the liver. So genetically speaking, for sure, it has a role to play. But the reality is not just our diet, but our lifestyle is what's going to really pull the trigger, feed it, or starve it. And the reason being is because cancer thrives in an acidic environment. If you have good, clean, and alkaline blood, we're creating an environment where cancer doesn't thrive. And if anybody's been in a situation where when we first moved into our apartment, just married, very little money, it was fairly clean, but because of the food that people left before and it wasn't that great, I mean, it was infested with, creepy crawlies everywhere. So we'll just say that. Once we cleaned up and once we kept everything clean, they didn't come back. But if we kept the place dirty, if there was food everywhere, of course, we're going to have cockroaches, we're going to have all of these mice, we're going to have all of this stuff. Once you clean house and you clean up, I'm not saying you're never going to see a bug or anything like that, probably because, this is a world and there is an environment and grass outside and trees. You are going to still see a few bugs in your house, but it won't be an infestation unless you invite them there with leftover pieces of food living out or not cleaning up. So that's the reality in our bloodstream as well. So you want to make sure that your blood, which is the life that's in us, is clean, free, flowing, and alkaline. Now, understanding something incredible about the human body is that cells are reborn approximately every 21 days. And a completely new cell is developed and lives for just about 3 months long. So think about that. Your entire body, your entire being is made up of cells. And new ones are born, cells are reborn about every 21 days. It can go all the way up to 90 days. So if you think about that, we have where cells are reborn, generally in the bone marrow, but other places. If it's a really good environment, that cell gets enough food, it gets enough nutrients, it gets enough of everything that it needs, it's going to be born great. But if there's not enough water in the bones, if the blood is sticky and yucky and acidic, that cell is not going to get fed very well as as it's developing, and it will be born defective, it will be born with issues, it will be born with problems. So it's very important. And this to me gives me a lot of hope, because when I look at that, I'm saying I have the opportunity every day to create an environment. It doesn't take that long for new cells to be reborn and to be healthier than the cells before. So the thing about cancer, in a very general sense, it is the rapid and unnatural division of cells. So when you have cells that naturally, our cells can divide, but an unnatural and a very rapid division of those cells, where it's like out of control, that's basically where we have this cancer issue. So you want to make sure that you are not creating what we call free radicals in the system. And free radicals, which we're going to talk about shortly, free radicals are basically a cell that has an equal number of, and I'm not trying to bore you here with grade 8 science, but a complete healthy atom has, like, for the most part, equal amount of electrons as well as protons, positive and negatively charged atoms. So if I lose an electron, my cells are like, this is not right, I'm missing an electron. It becomes a free radical. It's all over the place. That's how cancer forms. So it could divide, it starts stealing them from other cells, and now we have secondary free radicals. So you want to make sure your cells have all the right amount of protons and electrons. And generally protons are never touched, but we can lose electrons when we get free radical damage. Where does that come from? Cell phones, microwave ovens, X-rays, pesticides, pollution. That creates damage and a loss of electrons, and then we get these cells that become radicals. They become crazy all over the body. And that's, in a sort of simplified term, of basically how we can create an environment that grows cancer. But I thought I turned my phone off, and I'm terribly sorry. So what you would need to do is create a blood system that's clean, that's pure, that's full of electrons, lots of extra ones to donate it to those free radicals. And you want to keep up an environment where your body is not dividing cells, it's nourishing them. And when new cells are reborn, it's reborn in this beautiful place. Like, I love this blood. This is a beautiful place for me to live. Maybe I'll live longer than 21 days this time. So I shouldn't say this time, but each of the cells live and die. And our spleen, very important, will, once they die, it gets rid of all those extra cells. Our spleen is so important, in our kidneys and our bowels. So we're going to talk about that in a few moments, because it's not just the food we eat, folks. If our colon is backed up with feces, if we're not getting enough sleep, if we're highly stressed, man, this is worse than like going through drive-through for 3 meals a day, honestly speaking. So our environment and our stress level, and whether or not we're exercising, getting fresh air, and emptying the garbage. People do not realize how many toxins are in their bowels. And if that is not getting emptied every day, guaranteed it's backing up and going through the blood system. And now we have stinky blood and an environment that cancer loves. So as after Marlene talks, I will share with you some of the foods that we should be eating, some of the remedies that we can do for cancer. And it's not just breast cancer, and it's not just cancer. These are a lot of things that are important for every disease and everyday living. So with that, I would like to bring Marlene on. Marlene, you with us?
I am.
Okay, wonderful. So nice to see you. I haven't seen Marlene in so long. So Marlene, just a little introduction. who you are, where you're living, and yeah, just a small introduction if you don't mind.
Okay. I'm Marlene Roberts, and I live in New Brunswick now. I moved here a year ago, and just loving it. I'm on a 40-acre organic wild blueberry farm, and I'm 9-year breast cancer survivor. And my cancer was also spread into my lymph nodes. So not just breast cancer, but it was also in my lymph nodes.
Okay, so thank you for that introduction. So I'm going to let Marlene tell her story. As she's telling her story, or after she tells her story, I may have a few questions for her. But if you guys have questions, please just put it in the chat and then we can address it later. What I want to do a disclaimer here is that understand that I just want to be very real with everybody. Cancer is aggressive. Cancer is serious. And I'm not making any promises and I'm not making any claims that, hey, if you follow this program, if you do a lot of natural remedies and you eat all the antioxidants and you get fresh air, you can beat that cancer naturally. I'm not saying that. There's also different stages of cancer as well. So depending what stage you're at, you have a much better chance of fighting it naturally than if it's at its later stage. Once it's riddled all over the body, it's near impossible, I do believe in the miracles of God, but near impossible to try to contain that with all the natural remedies in the world. And the other thing too is that even if you know, I don't love the conventional therapies that we have, chemotherapy, radiation, but I believe that it should be a personal choice if you're going to undergo some of those. But even if you do decide to undergo those, it does deplete you, it does destroy many of your good cells. And I know Marlene is going to probably share a little bit of that. But even if you did some of those conventional treatments, if you can feed yourself right through it, you will come out a whole lot better on the other side. So again, I just want to put a disclaimer for those that have kind of just joined us that this is not, you know, my answer to cancer of, yeah, you can reverse it and it's easy. Cancer is aggressive. And if you do not attack it equally as aggressive, you don't have a fighting chance because it's a real live monster in our system. So, not saying that to scare you, just saying that to be real, so that nobody thinks I am trying to say that we have the natural remedies to cure cancer, because I'm not promising that, but I certainly can promise that if you could eat right, change your lifestyle, you can extend your quality of life and you can pretty much fight almost any disease. So with that, Marlene, I'd like to turn it back over to you and tell us a little bit more about your story. Well, tell the whole thing.
Well, I'm a little nervous, so I wrote things down so I wouldn't forget anything. So if I'm not looking at the screen, I'm looking at my paper. Sorry for that. Okay, so I don't know if I said that I was stage 4 breast cancer. I don't know if I mentioned that. So I was stage 4 and it went to my lymph nodes. So I had a lumpectomy and I had 31 lymph nodes taken from my underarm. The doctors told me that I had to have 6 chemo treatments and they were once every 3 weeks by intravenous. And I had 18 Herceptin treatments once every 3 weeks by intravenous and 6 weeks of radiation every day, Monday to Friday. So that was my total treatment. So on my very first treatment, I lost my hair in the first 5 days. My mouth was full of sores that I couldn't eat solid foods anymore. On the 7th day, I was admitted to the hospital because I had the start of pneumonia, but also my white blood cells were wiped out so low that it was very dangerous. So basically, I was in there to bring me back to life again because this chemo was so strong that when I had my second treatment, they delayed it for a week and they decreased it by 10%. I had to start getting needles in my stomach every 7 days after every chemo treatment to help my body rebuild the white blood cells because they weren't doing it on their own. My bowels basically shut down. It was impossible for me to go by myself, so I had to have weekly visits to the hospital. I also got the shingles because my immune system was suppressed. It was very painful and very hard to put clothes on. I couldn't sleep very much. My body was exhausted, but my brain was go, go, go. I was getting depressed and my emotions were everywhere. On treatment 3, it wiped out the shingles, and that was the only good thing that the chemo did for me. Treatments 4, 5, and 6 was a new chemo, and it was one that did the most damage to my body. Each treatment was 5 hours long. I had to wear frozen gloves to protect my fingers from getting neuropathy, and neuropathy is where your nerves in your fingers, I guess, freeze so that when you hold things, you can just drop them. And I know a lot of people that had that. So wearing these frozen gloves kind of helped that. And also all of my fingernails and my toenails turned gray. I was very lucky that I didn't lose them because most of the people that I knew also lost them. Every joint in my body ached. It was very hard to walk. I used to do a lot of walking and I couldn't walk anymore. The lining in my nose was thinning out, so I had lots of nosebleeds anywhere, anytime. I remember going to a restaurant and all of a sudden my nose is bleeding and everybody around me was looking for Kleenex, and it was very embarrassing, but that's what I was told, that all the linings were thinning out. My eyebrows and my eyelashes fell out, so my eyes constantly watered because they had no protection from dirt or anything. There was other side effects that I can't really talk about, but I still am affected to this day. I had to have heart tests done every month because the 8 treatments of Herceptin is known to damage the heart. And when I started radiation, on the 6th week of radiation, I was burnt so badly that my skin turned black. And if you touch the skin, it would open up and ooze. So it was very hard to put clothes on. It also damaged my lung. I have scar tissue now on the left side where the breast cancer was. And I also am osteoporosis from the radiation. So it was a really rough journey, not knowing anything about nutrition at that time or about the 8 laws of health. And after I finished all of the treatment, I was so broken, and that's when I met Carolyn. Doing the program brought me back to life again. All of my pain slowly disappeared. My IBS healed. I got taste buds working again. That was another thing. I lost all my taste buds. All of my lifelong allergies and asthma healed and disappeared. And my asthma was really bad because I used to end up in the hospital a lot. I used to carry an inhaler in my purse beside my bed, in the car, and it just disappeared. I've never ever had to use it ever again. My body never sweat, and now I can sweat normally. I really don't get sick anymore. I can't tell you the last time I had a cold or anything. Oh, and my osteoporosis, they wanted to put me on medication right away, and I refused. And it's been 9 years, and it hasn't gotten worse. I've maintained it. So that was a really good thing. And so all of my tests have been A1. So when I was seeing Carolyn, when I was first seeing her, I was scheduled for a double mastectomy with a well-known surgeon. But when my body was healing so well, I had second thoughts about doing this. So I wanted to cancel it. So I went to see the surgeon to cancel it. And I told her why I was canceling it and what I was doing. And she said to me, and I quote, she said, "As a medical doctor, I cannot tell you that these things will make any difference in what happens to you. But as woman to woman, I can say this is the best decision that you'll ever make." So that was pretty amazing for me to hear that from a medical doctor. So I continued on in my life, changing everything, not only my diet, but also anything chemical that I can control. So I stopped using any store-bought creams and lotions and perfumes, and I make all my own stuff now because I also became an essential oil coach in the meantime to learn about all the natural stuff. Also cleaning products. I don't use any cleaning products other than natural cleaning stuff. So and I don't use any nail polish, any makeup. I don't use candles. I don't use false scents. Everything is just as pure and natural as I can get it. So on my 5-year checkup to my oncologist, he was new for me because my oncologist retired. So when I went, he did some tests and he checked me over, and then he sat down and we started to talk. And he said, "Before you came," he said, "I read all of your reports and your files that the old oncologist had written down." And he said, "With your type of cancer and everything that was against you," he said, and I quote, he said, "You should not be here today." And I didn't quite get what he meant. I thought I had the wrong day or something. And he said, "No," he said, "With all the odds against you," he said, sorry, "I see so many people with your type of cancer and all the same odds, and the cancer comes back aggressively within the first 3 years. And when it comes back, there's nothing we can do for you. There's no more treatments." So so then he asked me what I was doing. So I told him, and he said, "Wow, keep on doing it because you're here today." And I must tell you that I had an aunt and a cousin who also had breast cancer. And when it came back the second time, it went to their bones. And they are not here today, but I am cancer-free 9 years. So I don't know if you have any questions for me.
That's amazing. So amazing. You know, guys, I remember when I first met with Marlene, we didn't have the Energy Shack. I was doing consultations from my house in the country of Alliston, a little town of Alliston, but definitely a little bit more of a country setting. And I would just use my dining room table. My dining room there is my little office. I had an office, but it was pretty small. So I remember Marlene coming over and just looking at her, and she was so dark. It was like she was so empty, and just hearing her story and how she was almost, burnt alive. Really, I mean, that's the reality. And coming back from that is just incredible. But I just remember just seeing her, and there was just no life in her. And do you remember that day, Marlene?
I do, yeah.
And she was so scared. And I was telling her all these changes I wanted to make to her diet.
I know.
I wanted to take away, and all these things that she was eating that I was like, no, you can't eat that. You have cancer. But
But I don't know if you remember, Carolyn, like most of the things you told me I was allowed to eat, I couldn't even eat them because I was allergic to all of them.
Yeah, she's like, well, I can't eat black beans and I can't eat those beans. And I'm just like, okay, so we'll start with what you can eat. Which is incredible. And I remember you telling me, it was probably a year later or so, that you were like, you were so excited. You called me and told me that you had black beans and didn't go to the hospital. I'm like, what are you talking about? You said, no, I eat black beans, I have to go to the hospital. And you had them, and God is so good, so good. So Marlene, I know that I met you almost 10 years ago and shared with you the laws of health. And so, are you still plant-based today? Did you have to stay plant-based? Like, where are you now at with your eating?
Well, I'm not 100% because I find for me it was really, really hard because there were certain things that I love. But for me, I think the most important was sugar. And because we all know that sugar feeds cancer. But
100%.
we moved here a year ago, and I can't tell you how much company we have company all the time. And that I think that was the hardest for me because I was cooking meat for people and cooking this and just a whole lot of cooking. And
Yeah.
so I'm kind of I was just saying
Like,
to
where
my
would you
husband
say?
that
Are you 80%, 75%, 50%? Where would
yeah,
you say on your plant-based diet
right
are you?
now I would say 75%.
Yeah, so that's pretty still very good. So you can still fight disease, eat mostly plant-based, and still feel good and heal every day. And I know for me, I started my plant-based journey when I was like 17, so I'm like 3 years away from 50, so that's a little while. But right out of the gate, I was like, "Ah, I can't give up my fish. Oh, I'm going somewhere. They have my favorite, ice cream." So obviously, over the last 10 years, I've pretty much perfected the whole plant-based thing, but I didn't get that place overnight. But I did notice that the cleaner and cleaner I got, the quicker and quicker I healed. But of course, in the beginning, when we really had to fight this and bring your body back to life, we had to do it like 110%. Yeah, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of juicing involved. And I'm going to go through everybody, kind of just like the rhythm of the eating and what we did. But I mean, we had to like literally try to juice you back to life. And we didn't have the Energy Shack at the time to make all those juices for you. But you were juicing.
I can tell when I go off more than 75%, I start feeling not well. So your body gets used to it and starts knowing when it's good and when it's bad. So that's a good thing. Then I get
Do you
a check and
go
I go
back
back.
to fasting or juicing?
Yes,
Yeah.
to
So you
cleanse
have
and then I
your
go,
juicer
I
and
try and
you can
get
do
back
that.
on track again.
Awesome. Wonderful. And how much time do you spend outside? And how is your daily routine of life? Late
Uh,
nights, up playing video games?
I'm tired right now because usually I'm in bed by 9 o'clock because I'm outside all day. We have chickens, we have ducks, um, we have cats, dogs. I'm in the field. I walk every morning with a neighbor that I met down here. We walk every morning for about an hour. So a lot of fresh air makes you tired by the end of the day.
And physical activities. So awesome, so beautiful, so great. So I'm just going to wrap things up with just a bit more information. But Marlene, want you to look through the chat because there's some comments there that are very encouraging and a question as well. And I want you just to sort of be ready sort of for an answer of that if there's other products or things that you're using that are helpful. Marlene, are you on medication today and do you take any supplements?
I take nothing. The only thing I take as a supplement is my hot lemon water in the morning.
Perfect. Awesome. Folks, I say it over and over again that when Marlene started, I definitely had to get her to do some supplements at the beginning. She had like no probiotics in her digestive system. So she definitely started with some supplements, but supplements are not for life. So even for a cancer survivor, living in fear every day that the cancer is going to come back is worse than anything else. But Marlene's living today. She's alive. This is not the same woman that I saw 10 years ago across the table from me. I see life in her. Tired as she may be from being outside all day, you know, there's life. And I'm just so grateful for that. So if there's any other products or things you can think of, and I know you do a lot with essential oils, so you're welcome to also share some of that information. But I'm going to jump back to the seminar and just share a little bit with you guys here. And again, feel free to put your questions in the chat if you have any other questions for me. So I just wanted to share with you that food does matter. And if you look at all these incredible plant-based foods that are here, variety is also key. You really want foods with that, you don't want to eat the same things over and over and over again. We kind of get into the rhythm. I'm sure Marlene ate a lot of blueberries or does eat a lot of blueberries. As she lives on a blueberry farm. I'd eat them every day too. But generally, you want a variety because, you know, pinto beans have, you know, tons of antioxidants in them. Walnuts, we're talking, you know, that is like brain food for you. And so now we're talking about the, and then you've got your citrus here, which is a great source of vitamin A and C, beta carotene in there as well. And kiwi's super high in vitamin C. So it's like, you know, and then I see the kale, the spinach at the bottom, the asparagus, the broccoli. You know, we've even got some quinoa over there. We got B vitamins, C vitamins, D vitamins, E vitamins. So you don't want to eat the same thing over and over again. You want to change it up. But really what you want to eat is your food in its whole state, in its whole form. You want to eat food as less processed as possible, because food does matter. And the other thing I want you to see on this screen is the colors. The richer the colors, the higher in antioxidants. So when I opened the seminar, I was talking about all those free radicals that happen due to pollution, radiation. I mean, Marlene was riddled with free radicals through all of that process. But you know, our cell phones, I mean, we got cell phone tires, they're like running through our bodies literally. So, you know, we are like free radical damage happening all the time. If you can do it, which you absolutely should, kick your microwave to the curb. We don't need any extra radiation. Warm your food up on the stove or eat it cold. But, you know, I just want you to see that the richer the colors, the higher the antioxidants. These little beans on the corner, adzuki beans, small little red beans, super high in antioxidants. And why do antioxidants matter? Because remember when I told you that if your cells have an unequal number of protons and electrons, and some cells naturally do, I'm just giving a basic analogy, but if what happens is when free radicals come into the body, they steal electrons. So then that cell that was healthy because it had enough protons and it had enough electrons, and it loses an electron or two of them, it starts to go crazy all over the body trying to find its electron, because that's what your body was designed to do. It was designed to like keep homeostasis, which is a balance. So now it's going all over the body. It's like, oh, you have some electrons, I steal it from you. But then that cell becomes what's called a secondary free radical. And when all these free radicals are going around your system, that is a recipe for cancer and disease. That's actually the base and foundation of how almost every disease is formed. It's free radical damage. So what can we do about that? Guess what? God in his wisdom knew that mankind was going to create radiation. So he made foods full of antioxidants. When you eat these foods, guess what, folks? Can you guess what I'm going to say? They donate electrons to free radical cells. Amazing. And so that free radical that was missing its electron, you eat those small red beans or you eat the wild blueberries on Marlene's farm that are organic, and all of a sudden these free radicals get their electrons back. And they're like, okay, I'll stop chasing, I'll stop acting crazy, I'll go back to what I'm supposed to be doing. It's amazing. And your cells, which, you know, make up every organ and every part of your body, can actually, your white blood cells can start working properly, your white blood cells can start working properly because they're not missing electrons. If they're missing electrons, they're not going to do their job. That's like me trying to do the seminar and someone comes and takes my computer. Well, I can't really get my seminar done until I can get my computer back, right? So that's like the reality of top antioxidants list. And you can look this up. This is the top 20 foods highest in antioxidants. So of course you cook these, and antioxidants, I mean, besides your beans, the antioxidants will be depleted a bit. They will be depleted a bit in the beans. That's why I really like to sprout. I do a lot of sprouting because that makes super high nutrient dense food. The other thing I want to talk to you about is phytonutrients. So this like gives power to antioxidants. So your phytonutrients are incredible cancer fighting nutrients, and they're found in all your cruciferous and leafy green vegetables. So how important it is that we have a big bowl of fruit in the morning, followed by, you know, some sort of healthy grain like millet or quinoa. Wait an hour, drink only water, let that beautiful bowl of breakfast that you had with your fruits first, rich in antioxidants, digest. Then when you're hungry again, having a nice big leafy green salad with some of those high antioxidants beans, maybe some cooked spinach or some squash. You know, green and orange vegetables should be part of like every main course. Your squashes or your carrots, those are so high in vitamin A, which converts to beta carotene. And now, like, you are fighting cancer, you're getting your vision back. And it's just incredible. It helps with your regrowth of your hair, your nails, your skin. So you want to make sure there's always green and orange vegetables, but you want to have a nice big salad with just lemon juice, no vinegar. Vinegar is like poison to the blood because it's alcohol fermented. And you want to stay away from any poison. So when we're talking about poisons, you're talking about chemicals that you put on your body or that you may use for cleaning, but also vinegar is a poison. Caffeine is a poison. Tobacco is a poison. Any carcinogens. So even if you're smoking marijuana, it's all poisons to the system. I like to go as far as saying that meat can be a poison to the body, but there are some, you know, there's usable poisons are poisons, nothing good in it. So in your fish or your chicken, although I'm not promoting that, I'm promoting a plant-based diet, but I wouldn't call it a pure poison. It just has a lot of uric acid involved in it. So it really does create a toxic environment in the system. So if you're not ready to give up your meat yet, and you can drastically reduce it, like Marlene has said, it makes a big, huge difference. You know, the amount of protein that we need is actually, in my opinion, most of us are giving themselves way too much protein and using animal products. Really, if you think about animal products, it's like the flesh of dead animals in the body. So it is going to rot and putrefy. That's the reality. So if you can't eliminate it completely, you should really drastically reduce it and eat more of your beans, your nuts, your seeds instead. The power and importance of juicing. So being able to detoxify your system by just doing a vegetable juice cleanse, you know, once a season. I'm telling you, if you come to see me with cancer, I think, Marlene, I don't know, and you can tell us afterwards, but I feel like we started with a big long one, like 10 days or something, or 5 days, or I feel like it was long. But anyway, we can answer that question afterwards. But I generally put people on a nice long fast to start with. And after that, you know, every 30 days in the beginning, then every season, it's important to do at least a 2-day or a 3-day cleanse. You want to give your digestive system a break. And like all those colors in the juices, I know the picture's a little blurry, but all those colors in the juices, they just bring so much healing. You know, in one, like when, if you can imagine, we go through almost 1,000 pounds. We go through 1,000 pounds for sure of vegetables every week at the store. And it just seems that when the truck arrives and we fill the fridge, we can't put anything in there. One day of juicing and our fridge is like almost empty. It's incredible. I could never The amount of vegetables that are in that one bottle of juice, I really couldn't eat that much. I wouldn't be able to eat that much in a day, never, you know, never mind a sitting, never mind a day. Um, but when I drink the juice, I get all those nutrients. Now I don't get the fiber, so it's important that if you're incorporating juicing in just a regular everyday, you're drinking your juice as like medicine or you know, like a supplement, just nutrients for your body in the morning or instead of your dinner. So the vegetable juices are very, very important to have if you're battling cancer or severe disease every morning. Or again, you can also do it every night on an empty stomach. But to begin with, you'll want to start with the detox and continue to do fasting. Fasting is incredibly healing. And it's important that, especially if you feel like, you know, as Marlene says, like, you know, you kind of hit a brick wall, you're just like, I don't feel that great. I need to reset. Anyway, so that is very important to add juicing if you're fighting cancer every single morning. And you're having a big breakfast, you're having a good lunch, and then at night, you're either doing a vegetable juice or a very healing herbal tea. So that's important. And again, you are losing all the fiber from the juices. So it's still important if you drink a juice in the morning, you've got to still have your salad at lunchtime before your cooked meal. So the juice is just medicinal. When you're fasting, it does become your food and you just let go of fiber for a couple days. Just want to talk quickly about natural remedies, which are very important. You see some grapes there. So what's also really good, I don't do a lot of fruit juicing, but if you can find organic grapes with seeds, maybe Marlene wants to add some to her farm, but if you can find organic grapes with seeds, if you put those through the juicer, the skin and the seed, and you need a really good juicer to crush all of that, and you just drink a quarter to a half cup every morning, wow, that is so potent and so full of antioxidants. Make sure they're organic and make sure they have seeds in it, because it's the skin and the seed that have most of the antioxidants. And you could actually buy products in a health food store that has the skin and seed grape extract, but if you can juice it yourself, that's powerful. Poultices are important. So believe it or not, you know, garlic and cabbage, they're so powerful. So adding garlic to your diet is important, but you can also crush up some garlic and put it in a paper towel, and you can put it on the area where the cancer or whatever issue you're having is. But be careful because it's also, garlic can burn. So make sure that it's not going through there, or you're checking and making sure that poultice, the garlic isn't going through the paper towel, and then you just secure it. The other thing you can do is, and I believe Marlene had done this for a while, is you're taking the cabbage leaves and you just pound them a little bit so the juice comes out. You can put that right inside your bra if you have breast cancer or on the area of wherever you have pain. Some of you guys know I had an accident sometime in July where I fractured. I got a bunch of fractures in my neck. I mangled my shoulder, I had a broken rib. It was just a mess. It was a really bad accident, but I had so much pain and I refused to take pain medication. So I remember one day being at work and I'm just like, oh, this shoulder is killing me. I don't think I can ladle one more bowl of soup for a customer. And I was ladling soup, friends, a week after my accident, because that's how quickly my body started to heal. It was amazing. But I was in pain that day. And I'm just like, you know, as soon as the store went quiet, I went back, I pounded some cabbage leaves, I put it under my shirt, stuck my bra strap over to hold it down, tightened it up over there. I'm gonna tell you, like within 5 minutes, I'm like, that's strange. The shoulder is really feeling better. This actually works. It works. I'm telling you, it's really powerful. Charcoal is also powerful at pulling pain out of the body and pulling toxins out of the body. You'd have to get an activated charcoal, and you're not consuming it. That's a different issue for another time, but you can make a poultice. So you mix the charcoal with some flax and wet it so it becomes like a paste, and you put that in a damp paper towel and you can put that right on the area. Herbs are important too. Turmeric, cayenne, those are like very powerful antioxidant rich foods. So we sell a turmeric juice at the store. It's just cold pressed organic turmeric. If you have a headache, folks, and you drink that, like you could count it before you could say turmeric, your headache is gone. Like it's that powerful. You know, comfrey, soursop leaves, cerasee, moringa, essiac tea, burdock root. These are all like really good bitter herbs to help fight cancer. And I know you know, we don't have all the time because the seminar is till 8:30, but folks, if you have specific issues or you need this, you know, written down in a book, give me a folder. So I can have all of this and have all the recipes. We do consultations. Just go to our website, which I'll show you at the end for those who may not have visited Energy Shack website before. And if you go to our website, just click on consultation for $35 in 30 minutes. You'll get some of the best information of your life specifically designed to you. And we do lots of programs. So thank you, Suzanne. You can just go there and just click on consultations. And you watch that video, 8 Secrets of Healing, and underneath is an intake form. So you just fill in your information, and myself or we do have another nutritionist on staff, 2 of them actually. Somebody will get back to you within 24 hours, but I am doing most of the consultation, so most likely you'll end up meeting with me, which will be nice. I'd love to meet you as well. Okay, so I want to do a little activity with you guys before we close up. What a picture. I was trying to get some of my pictures. We've been hiking a lot lately, but it was getting too difficult to get them outside. So I just took this picture that jumped out at me. So I want you to just look at this picture and how do you feel? Just think about in your mind, like what does that make you feel like? And what about this picture? Like, wow. You know, just take a couple minutes and just like really look at that picture and be like, how does that make you feel? I can almost like feel, you know, the fresh air. I went for a walk in this very rainy and cold weather. I just love fresh air, but it just makes you feel so good and at peace. I want you to look at this next picture. Oh, how do you feel? Did everybody's shoulders just go, did you just like clench up? I want you, you know, just because this is making me crazy. This is the 401 in Toronto. Let's go back here while we talk.
We don't have that in New Brunswick.
What's that?
We don't have that in New Brunswick.
No, but New Brunswick is beautiful. Maybe not.
Is.
Oh, the 401 you don't have. Yeah,
no.
You don't have the 401 in New Brunswick. Thank the Lord. But I want you to realize the reality of cancer and disease. I tell people all the time when they come to see me that 90% of your issue is stress related. And that's the reality for feeding most of our disease. And you know, I can tell you today, I'm like, roll off my shoulders, don't get bothered about stuff. You know, I don't get worked up and angry unless, you know, you're my child and you do something that you shouldn't do. But for the most part, you know, I'm not a monster. I don't even like, you know, yell to high heavens and have this anger problem. You know, I'm very easygoing. Like literally my house could burn down or everything could break and walk in the store, you know, electricity's off, like things like that just don't ruffle my feathers. But I'm still under stress. As long as I'm commuting every day, as long as life is going on, I am in stress. We were not designed to live like this. We were actually designed by God to live like this. So when we're not in nature, we're not at peace. That's just the reality. looking around and seeing buildings and lights and even electricity, it actually creates stress for the body. Right now, if there was no such thing, if we had not invented electricity right now, first of all, I wouldn't be able to reach you all at this time, so we'd have probably a physical seminar. But the reality is that when the sun sets and it starts getting darker, we're just supposed to go to bed. We're not supposed to go to the fridge and find food, turn on the TV or turn on the computer. We weren't designed that way. There was no electricity in the beginning. Sun sets and it gets darker and we shut down and go to sleep. That's the way it's supposed to be. When all these lights are flashing at our eyes, our body's producing serotonin in the evening. It's supposed to be producing melatonin, so we can't shut down properly at night. Like, we are a mess of a human race with what all these inventions that we've created. But God works with us where we're at, and so do we. But I'm saying this to tell you is that if you have a serious aggressive cancer, unless you leave your environment and spend some time in nature, somebody's making juices for you every day, you're getting hydrotherapy treatments, hot bath, cold bath, all the poultices made for you, you go out on nature walks every day, that's where you will heal. If you're trying to just, drink some juice at home, eat your big salads, you're crushing your grape juice and you're putting your cabbage on, but you're still driving through all of this every day. You're going to work. You're talking to your mother-in-law that's driving you crazy. By the way, my mother-in-law doesn't drive me crazy. She's amazing. Same with my father-in-law. But, and you're dealing with your boss, or you're dealing with situations, or you look in your bank account like, oh, I still don't have the money that I need to pay my bills. Like, you can drink all the vegetable juice you want in the whole wide world. We are just feeding our disease just naturally living here. And the book Ministry of Healing, where these 8 laws of health actually came out of, she says if you really want to heal, you have to leave your environment, because your environment is probably where the issue and the stress came from. So that's not possible for all of us. I can't run to the hills right now, even though I love nature and I'd like to go there, because I have work to do in the city. But when my time's up here, my time's up. Believe me, folks, there's going to be a day soon that I'm going to be surrounded by nature every day. And I can still talk to you because I'll turn my computer on when it's light outside. So all of that being said, I just want to make sure you know that, again, nobody here is promising any cures for cancer, but there are things you can do to help naturally create an environment that doesn't feed cancer or disease. So if you need more information, or you want your food cooked for you, Delectable by Zarla Jane, her website's on there as well. And if you feel like, you know what, I need to stay more connected, I want to have more remedies from the Energy Shack, recipes that I personally make for my family, I share them, $10 a month if you're not already a subscriber. Again, just go to our website and you can subscribe for $10 a month. You also get the free cooking demo, which is happening on Thursday. And you also get a free question and answer time and a free consultation. So $10 a month, and there's so much free in there. So if you need also any more information, that's the store number, website, and EnergyShackJuiceBar.com as well. So that being said, thank you so much for sticking with us. And Marlene, I was asking you a question that I wanted you to answer afterwards. What was I saying before? Do you remember? I'll think of it afterwards. It'll come to me. So I just want to answer some of the questions in the chat. So Marlene, can you share, are there any other products that you do use? Or is it all just essential oils? And which essential oils do you use the most also?
Well, basically I buy one product from Young Living, and it's called Thieves Household Cleaner. And it's a concentrated bottle, and I just add like 1 capful in a glass bottle, and I mix it with water, and it does I can do my floors, my windows. Nice. I can even spray it in my mouth. It's all natural, plant-based. Nice. And I can even spray my plants. I can clean my plants with them. I can wash the floors and not worry about my dogs licking the floor. Like, it's completely plant-based, but it is expensive, but you get a lot in this little bottle to make, like, to wash your floors and everything. And if you don't want that, then sometimes you can use like baking soda, vinegar, citrus fruit, and mix it in a bottle and use that. So anything natural I use.
Very nice. Yep. See, vinegar is good for some things, just not consumption. So the question that I had asked you is, when we first started, do you remember how long you fasted for on juice?
I think it was 10 days.
Yeah, I feel like we started with a 10-day.
Yeah,
And then once we got to a really good place of healing, I think you even had done a 5-day after that. And then
mhm.
we were doing smaller ones later. But yeah, I'm pretty positive we had to go 10 days. Because
I
I
think we
do
did because
remember
of
saying, can you go one day more? Can you go one day more? And you started to feel really good after like
yeah,
day 7, 8, 9. It was like life was coming back into you.
it was
Yeah.
incredible.
It was
Yeah.
so incredible. Yes. So I'm just going through here. Any other products? Lots of good comments in here. Just affirming you. Can you tell us any juicing recipes, type 1 diabetic? Okay, so Rena Jane or Jane Rena, that's a good question. So if you're type 1 diabetic, you can't actually go on a juice fast. Um, I can show you how to do a cleanse, but you definitely can get to a place where you reduce your insulin dependency. And I have great success with every type 1 diabetic and type 2, but type 1 diabetic that I've met. But it's so specific for you and customized that I would really have to do a consultation. So if you're up for that, $35, 30 minutes, and I just do it by phone or by video. But the juices that you would need would be a little bit, it would be a little bit more customized because of the type 1 diabetes, and you can't fast. And only like half carrots because it can't be too sweet. But again, we'd have to talk about that more specifically. With that being said, I mean, there's lots of comments inside the chat box, but not a lot of questions. I think we answered most of them. Unless anybody has any other questions at 8:34, so we're a little 4 minutes above time, but thanks for being here. Marlene, I love you so much. I wish I could give you a hug. You're so far away. But thank you so much for being here, guys. If you need any more information, please reach out. And thank you again, everyone who came on tonight. And thank you, Marlene, for sharing. God bless you guys.
Thank you for having me.